The ability to find beauty, even in desolation. The more I continue to watch Girls' Last Tour, the more I feel that may be the message of the series, that even in the darkest of situations, if you try hard enough, you will be able to find situations of beauty and peace. And it is such a unique sort of theme in such a dark sort of story that it does make this animation series very unique and worthwhile to watch. So what's up, people, and welcome to the second episode discussion of Girls' Last Tour. And similar to the first, this series is very, conflicting in its theme. In a good way, I should say. The overall story and plot is of two survival girls who are trying to stay alive after an apocalyptic situation. And yet the story itself is so calm and serene that you feel the story to be a very different story from what you originally expected it to be. And that does make this story very interesting and very heartening to watch. Because despite the desolate sort of environment that these girls are exploring and adventuring, the overall interactions that they bring out are very heartening. Now, mind you, the basic premise of this series is still survival. And in the beginning of episode 2, just like in episode 1, the girls do find themselves in a very tense situation in the middle of an extremely heavy snowstorm. And you could tell right away that if the girls do not find shelter soon, they are going to die. Now, before I continue, I do want to commend the animators who have created the images for this animation. They've done a really good job of portraying the situation. Despite the animation being relatively simplistic in style, and the characters being kind of in a very simple cartoonish sort of character, the expressions that these characters show and the mood that the situation and the environment brings up perfectly gives the viewers what sort of situation they are in. So, for example, once again, in the snowstorm, you really can feel the cold with them. And it really does bring the message down that they are in a tense sort of situation. Now, of course, this is Girls' Last Tour, so they do eventually find a shelter. And not only is it a shelter, but it is an abandoned power station that is still active. And because of that, the heat exchangers in the power station are still working and pumping warm or even hot fresh water. And of course, this then turns that incredibly tense situation into a very comfortable one as the girls decide to take this advantage and make a makeshift bath. And I have to say, once again, despite the simplistic sorts of drawing styles, when they're in the bath, you can see and experience just how comfortable that bath is. And my gosh, the scenes in that area are quite cute. Yeah, so this is a very interesting story. This isn't really about the tense situation of the survival. There is some of that in there because it has to be due to the nature of the world. But you can understand that the story is more about the interactions of these girls and how they react to certain situations and their interactions with each other during those tense situations and these calm situations. And so some of the interesting things that happen are between the dialogue that happens between Chito and Yuri, right? And eventually, later on, after the bath scene, they come to somewhat a conflicting situation again, similar to episode 1 with the cookies. This time is with regards to the books that Chito has. And of course, this amplifies what you might say as one person's junk being another person's treasure. Chito really treasures these books as being informations of the past, and especially the one that she is using as her own log. But Yuri, since she cannot read, find these books to be kind of, they're fine if Chito enjoys them, but they're nothing interesting to her. And because of that, it creates this unusual situation that causes tension. But just like with the other story, there is a nice resolution that comes out, which makes you very happy after you see what goes on. But for a short period of time, you weren't exactly sure how this was going to get resolved. And then we get to the second half of the story, which is about the weather the day after the storm. And now we're talking about an extremely sunny environment, and the whole mood changes from being something of dark and dreary to something of bright and cheery. And now the girls are not really considering trying to get away from the environment to survive, but utilizing this advantage to go collect some water and continue on their journey. And so because it's now warm, all of the snow is melting, and that creates a runoff that goes down, that runs to the ground. And because this is a very desolate sort of environment, the water is extremely clean. And so they find that although the environment is still a city sort of environment, a dead city sort of environment, they find that the water is clean. And in fact, what they discover is fish, which of course Yuri is first of all asking, what the heck is that? And second of all, she is like, let's go eat it. And this, of course, brings up another world-building event because of the fact that you realize something very peculiar about these girls is that certain things that you would find absolutely obvious, they don't know, such as fish. They have never seen a fish before, and so they're looking at it going, I think it's a fish, maybe it's not, maybe it's a fish. But in the very end, Yuri doesn't matter, or you doesn't matter. She's like, let's eat it. And so it's again a comical sort of situation, but it also opens up that question. I wonder what sort of world these two girls grew up in that they don't know what a fish is. And that's the same as in episode 1 when they found the box of cookies. Chi told you, they said the flavor was chocolate, and then she added, whatever chocolate is, I don't know. And so you know that certain things that are regular and common in our world is not common in theirs, which indicates that whatever happened in the apocalypse happened quite a while back, so that by the time they were growing up, things that were available in our world no longer existed. And so this gives a little bit more of a clue of things that might happen later on. At least I would like to see that eventually the story does explain the world. But again, since this is a journey sort of story rather than a whole plot sort of story, I'm not sure how much of the world they will explain. But I do feel that because the interaction is so important and the basic theme of exploration is so important, that to some extent they will explain some of this in the future. So anyway, I am looking forward to more of Girls' Last Tour, and I'm starting to understand that this is in some ways a happy journey for them, a journey of discovery, a journey of exploration, just as much as it is a journey of survival. And I do worry that one of these days the survival part will become very big, and it will become a tense sort of situation for Chi and Yu. However, I have heard that Girls Last Tour in general is a very serene, calming sort of experience. And so maybe I'm worrying too much about that, but it always is something in the back of my head. Anyway, I'll continue on with more on Girls Last Tour going on to the next episode. There are, if I remember right, 12 episodes in this season. And so, we still have 10 more to go. And so I'm looking forward to episode 3. And when I do upload it, I hope you join me in the journey. And if you have seen Girls Last Tour, I would like to thank you in advance for not spoiling any of this experience, because I am uploading these videos as I experience one chapter at a time or one episode at a time, so I don't know what's going to happen in the next episode. Okay, so that's about it. Thank you very much for watching, and until the next episode, happy exploring, happy anime watching, and as always, Jaya, nice day everyone.